Lolo reads episode 70, Fiasco in Chinatown. Leaving the Gateway Cinema, Marianne and Norman headed west up Jackson toward Chinatown. When they reached the pagoda-shaped Chevron station at Columbus, a thick pocket of fog had begun to soften the edges of the neon. "On nights like this," said Norman, "I feel like somebody in a Hammett story." Hammond? Hammett. Dashiell Hammett. You know, the Maltese Falcon? She knew the name, but not much else. It didn't matter, however. The only Falcon in Norman's life was parked at the corner of Jackson and Kearney. "Do you have to get home right away?" He asked it cautiously, like a child seeking permission to stay up late. "Well, I should. Well, no, not right away." "Do you like Chinese food?" "Sure," she smiled, suddenly realizing how much she liked this bumbling kind of Smokey the Bear man with a clip-on tie. She wasn't particularly attracted to him, but she liked him a lot. He took her to Sam Woe's on Washington Street, where they wriggled through the tiny kitchen up the stairway and into a booth on the second floor. "Brace yourself," said Norman. "For what?" "You'll see." 3 minutes later, she made a discreet exit to the restroom. There was no sink in the cramped cabinet, and she was halfway back to the table before she discovered where it was. "Hey, lady, go wash your hands." Thunderstruck, she turned to see where the voice had come from. An indignant Chinese waiter was loading plates of noodles from the dumbwaiter. She stopped in her tracks, scared at her accuser, then looked back toward the restroom. The sink was outside the door, in the dining room. A dozen diners were watching her, smirking at her discomfort. The waiter stood his ground. "Wash, lady. You don't wash, you don't eat." She washed, returning red-faced to the table. Norman grinned sheepishly. "I should have warned you." "You knew he would do that?" "He specializes in being rude. It's a joke. Warlord turned waiter. People come here for it." "Well, I didn't." "I'm really sorry. Can we go, Norman?" "The food's really..." "Please?" So they left. Back in the dark canyon of Barbary Lane, he took her arm protectively. "I'm sorry about Edsel." "Who?" "That's his name, the waiter. Edsel Ford Fung." She giggled in spite of herself. "Really?" I meant it to be fun, Marianne." "I know. I really blew it. I'm sorry." She stopped in the courtyard and turned to face him. "You're very old-fashioned. I like that." He looked down at his black wing tips. "I'm very old." "No, you're not. You shouldn't say that. How old are you?" 44. "That's not old. Paul Newman is older than that." He chuckled. "Well, I'm not exactly Paul Newman." "You're just fine, Norman." He stood there awkwardly as her palm slid gently along the contour of his jaw. She pressed her cheek against his. "Just fine," she repeated. They kissed. Her fingers moved down across his chest and clutched at the ends of his tie for support. It came off in her hand.